Welcome to the Polishing Podcast. They didn't hear the other stuff, so it's fine.
So it's just me laughing for no reason.
No, it's a weird intro.
Sure.
Patented it. TM, trademark. Weird intros.
TM.
Weird intros are us. Come on down. You'll have a time.
You'll just have a time. Time will pass.
But you gotta say it like that. You'll have the time.
I don't think I know how to do that.
You just do it. You're gonna have the time.
I'm too tired to.
You did it.
I'm too tired. Myself to sleep. I'm just gonna go to sleep. What time is it? It's 8:30.
It's 8:30, and you're dead tired.
What is wrong with me?
I don't know.
Well,
I've closed 2 nights in a row, so I'm not even like sleepy yet. Even after waking up kind of early.
I don't know who I am anymore.
I don't know who you are anymore.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm sleepy.
And I'm sneezy.
It's true. These are facts.
Well, it's not entirely true because I'm not sneezing. My nose is just running. But calling myself runny makes me sound like I'm like
running.
Yeah, I'm running. Like Sonic. Just gotta go moderately quickly. But yeah, welcome to the Polishing Podcast. I'm the host, Nico, otherwise known as Nico All Powerful on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, those things. Window is open. This is my host, my co-host, Allie.
I'm his wife.
Allie Macchia.
You better believe it.
There we go. No more car noises.
No more car. And random people noises.
Yeah, there was a guy.
People just wait until they get right in front of our building, and then they just start shouting at others. And, like, sometimes it really is just like, bah! And I'm like, why are you doing this?
And there's no reason.
There's no reason. We look out, and sometimes they're walking normally. And I'm like, I know it was you, bro.
Yeah, there's no one else out there.
You're the only person on the street.
And you're not looking around like, who did that? So, like...
So it's you, bro. You're the one making a weird noise. And it would be fine if it were pleasant. If someone were just walking by singing, that doesn't bother me.
That happens sometimes, but not nearly as often as any of the other things.
Yep. Usually it's just people making weird noises. The other day, this was hilarious.
Oh, yeah?
I just heard a child screaming. You were there for this. We were making dinner. I just heard a child screaming. My first thought, we live in a city. Someone could be taking or hurting that child. I look, it's a kid in a stroller just getting pushed along on the sidewalk and just screaming. And I was like, you know what? Same kids. That's how I feel.
They just do that.
Whenever I have to leave my house.
But this child did not get to choose this.
Nope. The child was just strapped into that stroller screaming.
If you're big enough to be put in a stroller, you're also big enough to where you're not legally allowed to be left at home. Yep.
They're not when they're small either, so.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is they're small enough.
Oh.
Yeah.
So you said it's big enough, implying that.
Well, yeah, if they're in a stroller.
Okay. Because I'm just saying, you could build a big stroller, and then I'm in the stroller.
You don't have to say build. I'm pretty sure adult strollers exist. That's a quick Google search to find out.
True. I want one.
Why do I have socks on? I'm home.
I don't know what's wrong with you, you weirdo.
That's right. I don't wear socks at home.
Why would we? Our floors are clean.
I don't know. Some people do, no matter what.
That's fair, I guess. I don't relate to that, but
yeah.
I get it.
And you don't get to see my feet.
You got to pay for that.
Well, I don't have any pictures of my feet anywhere.
Well, you should get them just in case someone. What if someone says, "I need feet pics right now," and I'll give you $5 million?
I'll be like,
you have no artful feet pics.
I have no.
What kind of an entrepreneur
foods
doesn't even have pics of their feet?
I don't know. This one.
This is why you're not internet famous yet.
Oh, that's it. It's not that my brand of comedy or anything is kind of niche. That's not it.
I think it's niche. Other people think you're very funny. My friends all think you're funny. You just never talk to them. So when you do talk, though, they're like, "He's funny," and I'm like, "Yeah."
How many friends do you have?
Just a lot, actually. I've got quite a few friends.
Okay, but then how many people are there on the planet?
Okay, first of all, I wasn't aware we were going planetary with this.
This is the internet.
I was not aware that it was global. Okay, and also the internet.
Well, actually, our podcast is listened to on almost every major continent. So
really,
yeah, it's a lot of listens in Europe.
That's cool.
Oh, you're fine. Okay, she's just dragging herself along the carpet. I thought she was tearing up the carpet.
Right. Instead, she's just dragging herself.
Yeah, she's on her side, gripping and dragging. Which isn't
but
great.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Europeans, send us healthcare. If you could just real quick, send healthcare.
It's like saying send help.
Yeah, that's the help we need. I'm just being clearer about.
Oh,
what
we need a lot more than that.
I mean, yeah, but healthcare would be a really good place to start.
That's fair.
Did you see that study that was published? That was like 68,000 people a year would not die if we have Medicare for all.
That's not surprising.
Yeah, I mean, it's not surprising, but like rich people seem shocked.
But what do you mean? You can't just go to the doctor?
They're like, no. What do you mean if people are not allowed access to the doctor, they die? That's silly. And it's like, well.
It's coming from someone who can always go to the doctor. I don't know.
Right.
But yeah. What were we talking?
So if you're in Europe, send healthcare.
No. I was like, what were we talking about? Oh, that. Okay. But yeah, no, there's the audience is global.
Nice. I didn't know people around the world would be interested in our really weird dick jokes and conversations about Riverdale.
The title of the podcast is The Polishing Podcast.
I guess that's true. Thought Man was a pretty good one.
Thought Man. Yeah, that was good.
I'm pretty invested in Thought Man. If I could draw, I would already be creating Thought Man comics.
Oh my God. It's not a very long comic run because at some point somebody's going to shoot him and then that's it.
But that's fine.
One of his powers is like, I can stop a bullet.
He's here.
Once.
He's here. Fuck you. It took me a second. I'm so mad at you. I can stop a bullet once. Fuck you. God damn it. This motherfucker right here.
That's good, isn't it?
People listening in Europe are pissed right now.
Because they can't shoot Thought Man.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the real reason.
That's pretty good. I mean, listen, Thought Man is here for a good time, not a long time. In all ways. So it's fine. So if you can draw a Thought Man comic and I will read it. Thank you. The end.
Oh my God. But yeah, no, it's, being weird is kind of one of the things that I've wanted to keep with the podcast no matter what happens, because it's just better when stuff is weird.
I mean, I agree.
Yeah. That's why we need to move to, what is it, Portland? It's like Stay Weird or whatever.
Yeah.
We don't need to move to Portland. It's way too expensive.
There's too much money.
Fuck.
Give us money and we'll move to Portland and we'll keep it really weird.
Yeah, we lost a patron, so I don't know if that's going to work.
We did. Come back. Bring your friends.
It was probably the politics episode.
I kind of suspected that.
I don't know if that's actually true. I'm just going to blame it on Bernie support.
Well, if my Bernie support offends people, wait till they hear that I don't think he's left enough.
Well, everybody in Europe went, well, duh.
Right. Everybody in Europe is like, obviously he's a centrist. But
yeah, it's weird.
Americans think that what I just said is a sign that I'm a communist. What they don't know is that they're right.
Well, the funny thing is like I saw a thing, a tweet that was like, imagine the most radical leftist thing is just that everybody should have health care.
That's what I'm saying. I just don't think that a lot of the things that I say are that wild. They just sound wild because our sort of rhetoric, our conversation is so skewed, right? Mm-hmm. And also with like really, really, really narrow boundaries. Because actually what we often debate are like the finer points of fucked up bullshit instead of debating like rational things that like make sense. There's this article I was reading with my students last week by this dude named Donaldo Macedo. And he's fucking hilarious.
Why does that almost sound like you were going to go, Adele Dazeem?
Adele Dazeem.
I was reading an article.
So Adele Dazeem is writing this article that we read this chapter from his book, and he talks about how when Ronald Reagan was running his first campaign for president, he talked about how he was going to balance the budget, and he was going to cut taxes, and he was going to increase military spending, which is not how math works.
Well, yeah.
You can't bring in less money, spend more money, and somehow
spend more money,
have money.
It
doesn't
okay. Yeah.
Like at the end. That's just net. You have you don't have any money. That's
but the average person hears that and is like, oh.
Well, right, but that was the thing is like Americans heard that, and he would say these things like all the time. Like he'd be like, "We're gonna balance the budget, cut taxes, and increase military spending." Like he would say it all at once, and nothing, no like light bulb turned on in the American public. And in fact, Bush Sr. coined the term voodoo economics for that system. But he eventually became his vice president.
Oh my God.
And then when he ran on the same platform, and that's how he got elected president.
Well, yeah, because he could see that it was working.
A policy that he called voodoo, because it's literal like magic. Actually, honestly, I believe more in voodoo than I do in that system of running an economy. It doesn't make any sense. It's literally nonsensical. You cannot cut taxes, increase military spending, and balance the budget. You can't do that. That's not how math works.
Well, yeah, but
and so what happens is they just essentially created trillions of dollars in a deficit for the U.S. And now that's like the Republican talking point, right? Is it like, oh, well, we got to balance the budget, we got too much debt, we got too much deficit, and it's like, right, because you guys created that in the 80s. Like, you did that with Reagan, who's like their poster boy. But it's like, actually, there's a more balanced situation when you raise taxes on rich people who ain't paying shit right now. And when you don't spend trillions of dollars on the military. It's just like common sense things.
Well, yeah, common sense to us. But if, you know, somebody who's uneducated hears those things and is like, oh, I like all those things, let's do that.
But that's the thing. A lot of these people are educated. Like, the average American has access to a lot more education than like the average person in the world.
Doesn't mean you make use of it.
Well, and that's a difference. So, like, Macedo basically argues in this chapter that what we teach in schools is not education, that the American public education system is failing.
Oh, I could tell you that.
Right. And that, well, but he published this in, like, the early 90s.
I could have told you that back then when I was 5.
No, he published it in, like, 92 or 93.
I was a year old,
yeah,
maybe.
So I had, like, just been born. It was right after the Rodney King verdict and the LA riots. So
Kelly,
he was
cute. Just interrupt.
Oh, man.
She just did that.
Oh, man.
You guys can't see this, but Callie's being real cute.
She's laying and her eyes are real big because she's real dumb. There's nothing going on behind those big eyeballs.
She's like a catfish. She knows everything.
Oh, she's just rubbing her head on the ground.
She knows everything, but it all cancels out.
Right. She knows so much that she knows nothing.
Yeah.
But yeah, basically he's like, you know, that our education system can't actually be working, because if we were as well educated as we seem to believe we are, if we've actually become this like great nation with this highly literate citizenry, then we would never have allowed someone like Ronald Reagan to become president, because what he was saying made no fucking sense.
Yeah.
And my students were really surprised by that. And then as they were reading, like, he brings up all these different examples throughout American history, right? Like, he talks about how in Massachusetts there used to be a law where you could sell Native American scalps to the state government and they would give you money. And there were different prices depending on whether it was a male over 12, the scalp of a male over 12. I don't know how you actually determine that.
Width?
I guess.
Radius? I don't know.
Or a woman or a child under 12.
Well, at that point, you're just going to say it's the best one at that point. Because, like, how the fuck is anybody...
How the fuck is anybody in Massachusetts in the 1800s going to know the fucking difference? But,
oh, that's definitely... Well, I don't know why I went southern.
Yeah, I don't know why either. You need to be talking honestly, more like a British colonial or some shit.
Well, to be fair... Well, no, it's apparently the southern accent is the closest thing to what old English, like colonial English is. Yeah. So I guess on a subconscious level, I did it right.
Technically. And he also talks about how Lincoln was hella racist.
Well,
and there's a quote that's often cited when academics talk about Lincoln, but it's something that students don't really know. And one of my students was so upset. She was like, Abraham Lincoln, I guess, was my favorite president. All we ever learned about him in school was like what a great guy he was and how he ended slavery and he brought the country together. Yeah, and it's literal nonsense. Like, he literally was like, oh, I mean, I don't really think that black people are equal or deserve any rights.
Well, yeah.
He was like,
I didn't do any of that.
Right. He was like, no. Or like the Emancipation Proclamation. I mean, in name, it does more than what it actually did. It only freed slaves in states that were not yet defeated by the Union, so that the slaves would revolt. That was his hope. He was hoping that the slaves would just fight the fucking war for him and would revolt and walk off the plantation. It didn't exactly work like that. But slaves in states that had already been beaten by the Union were not free.
Yeah.
They were still slaves until the end of the war.
Yeah.
Like, that's, and my students were like, what? Abraham Lincoln was racist? And I was like, yeah, you were just lied to. Like, that's just, it's overlooking like literally everything he ever did and said, basically.
There's a lot of stuff with history where if you take everything you learn in school and that's it. It's very surface level and kind of paints a veneer on our actual history, especially American history.
Yeah.
Anyone else, like, I mean, I don't know how.
But we do the same thing with European history. We like talk about all these like kings and queens and shit, and I'm like, what about all of the like rape and pillaging and colonialism and murder? What about when Belgium was like, let me take these people from Africa and put them in zoos for white people to look at?
I never learned any European history.
Yeah.
Because I only went to college for one semester.
Yeah.
So I didn't.
I mean, once I got to college, I learned a lot of that, but some of that was just because my professors at this conservative place where I went to school just happened to be researching this. Like, I just happened to come upon these people, and they knew that I expressed an interest in other things. And I had always been told, I mean, when I was really little, my mom wouldn't let us watch Pocahontas. Have I ever told you this?
No.
My mom wouldn't let us watch Pocahontas.
Well, yeah, because that's not how it happened.
Right, exactly. And that was her point. But like, other films were fine. Like, that was my thing that didn't really make much sense. Like, I wasn't allowed to watch Pocahontas, but I was allowed to watch South Park. So, like, what the fuck? Anyway.
And South Park's its own kind of problem.
Right.
Because like Matt Stone and Trey Parker are famously known to just make fun of everything because they're just like, oh, I don't agree with that, so I'm going to make fun of it and call it shitty. Oh, I don't agree with that, I'm going to make fun of it and call it shitty.
Right.
They're very like, oh, that's different, let's make fun of it.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
literally it.
Right, but I could watch Pocahontas before I could watch... Or I could watch South Park before I could watch Pocahontas.
Yeah.
It did not make any sense.
It sounds a lot like a thing where your mom would let you watch Blade before you could watch Pocahontas, and people get straight up exploded in that.
Yeah, it was very
Well, to
weird.
be fair, people get exploded in South Park too.
Right.
So.
I was watching a lot of Xena Warrior Princess, which is very sexual and violent.
Yeah, but it's on cable.
I don't know. Pocahontas is on fucking cable too. It was on the fucking Disney Channel, I still couldn't watch it.
I don't know how to navigate the holes in your mom's brain.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. It's like Swiss cheese in that bitch. So.
Oh yeah, she's on drugs.
Well, I mean, now she's not. I don't know who fucking. Knows.
She's probably on drugs.
Who knows?
I'll say it.
So.
I'm not afraid of her.
I mean, no one should be afraid of her. She's not.
A slight breeze will break her. So.
Honestly, she's not like strong physically. I don't know.
Well, when she's on drugs, she might not know that.
No, she does downers.
Oh well.
That bitch is sleepy.
Bitch is sleepy.
Bitch is sleepy. Anyway, so I wasn't allowed to watch Pocahontas because my mom was like, it's historically inaccurate. That's not how it happened. Blah, blah, blah. Your schools lie to you. And especially because my immediate family, like my older sisters, they moved from New York. Mm-hmm. So the way that they learned certain parts of history was very different.
Oh, I guess that's fair. I don't even take into account regional differences in U.S. history.
Because we leave so much of curriculum up to states and counties and districts, right? Like everything's sort of broken down into a much more local level, which is interesting because in a lot of other developed nations, that's not how education works. And in fact, it's increasingly standardized across countries. Whereas for us, even when you do something like Common Core, we couldn't even fucking agree that like kids should learn fucking math at the same pace. And so, and like, were we right to push back against Common Core? Yeah, absolutely. But were there like points to be made of like, maybe we should just be teaching the same fucking thing in other states? Like, I don't know. Maybe there should be some consistency to our education. Like, that doesn't sound like a problem. Yeah. So yeah, like the way that my oldest sister, who's 9 years older than me, learned about the Civil War when she was in early elementary school in New York was very different from the way that I learned it when I was in elementary school. And they didn't talk about slavery at first when they first taught it to us. And when they did, like in Georgia history, I remember this so vividly. In the Georgia history textbook that we had, it was for 8th grade social studies. It was about Georgia history. And of course, it was also about U.S. history, blah, blah. There was one paragraph in the whole textbook about slavery. Slavery built the state of Georgia. There is no way the infrastructure or the economy or the cultures of Georgia would even exist without slavery. Yeah. Like people were enslaved and literally built the state. Like it didn't exist. Yeah. And then we got slave labor and we made them build it, and then Sherman burned down some of it, and then we like rebuilt that part with like basically slave labor during Jim Crow. So like that's what happened. Yeah. One paragraph in the whole textbook. And I remember even in 8th grade at 13 being like, this is fucked up, right? Like this is obviously not a reflection at all of what the state's actual history is, or of the contributions of people or the conditions of slavery. Like, they kind of made it sound like slavery was an inconvenience. Like, it was like, oh, and then, like, people didn't really, like, have the ability to have freedom. But now they do, America. And I'm like, that's not really... Slavery wasn't just, like, sad because people couldn't do whatever they wanted all day. Like, that's not why slavery was horrifying and terrible. But they just, like, sugar-coated it or just did things like that. That made no sense, right? Like, you could spend a lot of time... I learned more gruesome details about the Holocaust than I did about slavery. And slavery was longer, and slavery was more localized and had more relevant effects.
Yeah, but Nazis are the bad guys. That's easy.
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, the hard part is that I would have had to look at some of the kids in my class and be like, oh, your forefathers were worse than Nazis, arguably.
Meh.
And y'all are still rich because of it. And just stare at them. And that's, like, much harder, right? Like, that's a much harder situation. I mean, it's why in some ways immediately after the Holocaust, people in Europe, like, didn't talk about it. For like 40 years. Like, people didn't actually start learning about what the Holocaust really was until like the 80s. Like, there was just like 40 years of silence where people were like, this happened, but like, we're not going to talk about it. We're just going to pretend like that didn't happen. Except, you know, U.S. public schools are still doing that about like anything even a little bit bad that ever happened that an American did. So it was really astonishing. A lot of my students were really caught off guard. And were like trying to fact check it. And they're like, oh, wait, no, that is right. Oh, shit. And I was like, yeah. But it's really hard because if you come to school and you're bright, all my students are bright and hardworking and good at school, they think, oh, I'm being told all the things I need to know to be a person. And then they get to college, and some of them don't even have this experience in college, but they get to college and they're like, oh, so nobody taught me like really anything. And in fact, they taught me things that are the opposite of what I need to know and understand. And maybe everybody knows that. Like, everybody kind of knows that I wasn't taught the things that I need to know to make decisions. And it's just, it's really hard and kind of earth-shattering for a lot of them. It's one reason why I have so much like affection and respect for my students, is because they handle that shit like they just take it on the nose. They're like, oh, okay, everything I ever taught was a lie. Cool. So I turn my homework in on time, and I'm like, how do you like reconcile like your favorite president, like this person you respected and you wrote all your reports about since the 3rd fucking grade, and turns out he's a horrible person? And they're just like, all right, well, I'll have that drafted to you by the weekend. Like, they're just like, they just like take it. They're like, that's horrifying and my world is shattering. Here's the homework. Like, they're just like responsible at the end of the day. And when I learn shit like that, it's like, I'm done for the day. Like, I might as well just lay down. I have to rest. I can't focus.
Yeah, they process stuff differently. Their generation's also part of the generation that hears the world might end due to World War III, and they go, time for memes. That's just how they process things.
They just, it's like, I can't tell if it's like they don't process it, or if it's like they processed it so fast that they're already to the point of laughing about it before I can even like react at all. Like, I'm still shell-shocked and scared, and they're like, let me make memes about being trained for World War III, and people say to shoot your shot. And I hit on my training officer instead of practicing shooting a gun. Like, that shit was hilarious. Shout out to Gen Z. The Zoomers are they're just some of the funniest people I've ever met. And I'm scared for them. I'm scared of what they know and what they don't know, and how quickly they're able to process devastating information. They're like, man, you know, well, I ran into a student on the bus, and I was complaining about how cold it was, and she was like, well, you know, once climate change hits, it'll be plenty warm. And I was like, that was a really dark joke you just made on the bus. I haven't seen you in 2 years. Are you okay?
They're fine.
She was like, yeah, I mean, the world is ending, but like, it's fine. And I was like, what is happening? She's like, I guess I'm not going to go to med school. What the fuck? Like, they're just like so chill about it.
Well, to be fair, they've also grown up on Twitter, and that inundates you with so much information so quickly that their brains probably develop differently.
That's very fair.
Yeah.
I saw a meme the other day I fully had no idea how to understand. And I was like, I guess I'm old now because I literally can't even break into whatever's happening.
What was the picture?
I don't even remember because my brain was just like, this is irrelevant. You know how like when you're scrolling through social media, you see something that doesn't apply to you and your brain just like filters it out?
I guess.
Okay, it's because my brain at first was like filtered out. I was like, oh wait, that's a meme. That's probably funny. But I like looked at it and I was like, I can't make heads or tails or whatever the fuck this is. And then I just like kept scrolling because it didn't make any sense. And I was like, I think I'm old now. I saw a meme I didn't understand literally any part of. Normally, even if I don't understand something, like my friend Nick really likes baseball. So every once in a while, he'll like something on Twitter and it'll show up on my timeline, and it'll be like a meme about baseball. And I'm like, I don't know anything about fucking baseball, but I kind of understand what's happening in this joke. I didn't. There were symbols on it that I didn't, but it wasn't in another language. I don't know. It was very confusing. And
Stonks.
Exactly. But like even that is like you kind of see it's like self-explanatory.
Yeah.
This one was not self-explanatory, but other people were replying like they understood what it meant, and I couldn't.
Well, I'm sorry that you are old, Beb.
I'm old now.
I mean, I steer away from memes that don't have anything to do with things I'm interested in because I see a meme about beauty gurus. I'm just gonna be like, oh, fucking whatever. Like that doesn't do anything.
First of all, with me as your wife, you don't understand memes about beauty gurus.
I don't even the only booty guru.
Incredible.
The only beauty gurus
would you
I know.
Call yourself a booty guru.
The only beauty gurus I know of are all the ones that are apparently shitty.
Oh yeah, you only know them when they like get in trouble.
Yeah, because why? Why else would I know of them?
That's fair. I mean, sometimes they're the most interesting ones because they get in trouble. But
yeah, and maybe the one that got blackmailed, or was she a beauty guru?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Nikki Tutorials.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 4, but it's all because of drama.
Right.
It's not because
like she's so talented that you just like know of her.
Yeah, I didn't seek out any of this information. So, there's that. Excuse me. Yeah. Still, I'm not sick, but like there's a lot of gross going on in my head still.
Yeah. Your head's full of gross, you booty guru.
Yeah, I guess so.
I want to hear this story about this child who approached you at your place of employment. I stopped him from telling the story earlier because I thought it would be better to tell the story and to hear the story on the podcast. So you're welcome.
Because I
European
forgot about
bastards, wherever you are.
It's not only Europeans. You got to calm down. You got to stop singling out one country. Continent? I don't know.
Continent, not a country.
Europe's a country.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Inferior landmass. I don't know if all of you. Well, no, the USA is pretty fucking big.
Yeah.
Because what was it like? What was it? I can't remember. It was like people like are like, oh yeah, didn't you like? People would start to talk about like how America's not that big. It's like your entire country can fit in a state.
Yep.
Like Texas can hold most of all
a good chunk of Europe.
Yeah.
Can just fit in Texas.
Yeah, and Alaska's bigger.
Yeah.
And more empty because it's cold, but still.
It's just space.
But what the fuck?
To this child.
I was closing. That's my very first closing shift. Never been taught how to close.
Just doing it.
Yeah, my boss kind of just forgot and scheduled me for it. And then they were like, oh, wait, shit. They probably thought that when somebody who was the pre-closer came in at noon and they were like, wait, who's closing? If you're here now.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, shit. And so that was funny. Not so fun for me. But, I guess that's just how retail is a grocery store still retail?
I have absolutely no idea what you would characterize that as.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would
This
say
all feels
that.
Immaterial to the story, though, so I'm waiting.
Wow.
I'm just saying you're giving a lot of detail about this. And
Coming from the person that just talked about U.S. history for 15 minutes.
I came here to have a good time. Honestly, I feel so attacked.
And straight up not having a good time.
What did you say, dude? Step the fuck up, Kyle.
I watched a video recently where somebody was using that on repeat for somebody like coming at them. It was hilarious. But anyway, and the person's name was not Kyle. Like the person who made the video.
It can't be Kyle. You have to be just calling them Kyle.
Yeah.
when they're not Kyle.
But anyway, closing is like 9:30, 9:45, like close to Whole Foods' actual closing time, which is 10 o'clock. And I'm like doing all the stuff I need to do. And then out of nowhere, this 10-year-old, 2 bags full of stuff. Like he just got done shopping in the store, but came over to the
Home Alone, like
yeah.
this 10-year-old child is buying 2 bags worth of
And
stuff
like,
at Whole Foods.
Yeah. And like, and they're by themselves. He appears to be a 10-year-old boy. And you would maybe thinking, Nika, how do you know it wasn't a little person? Usually you can kind of tell.
Yeah.
Because
there's
like
a difference between a person who is short and a person who is young.
Yeah. Like, and that and just little people, just they look like adults. They're
Right.
just short.
Yeah.
This looked like a kid.
Yeah. So it's definitely a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Or 2 5-year-olds in a 10-year-old suit.
Or I don't know what else. Because, well, yeah, there are those times where it's like a 20-something-year-old woman will be mistaken as a small boy. But he's just too short. Like, that's the thing. It's like, you haven't finished growing. Like, that's one of...
That was your immediate thought.
Yeah.
You see a 10-year-old at 9:45 walking in with 2 grocery bags, and you're like, you haven't finished growing.
Yeah. Their face just looked young, too young.
Like a baby.
Yeah.
Like a 10-year-old.
Like a 10-year-old. They come up to the case, and they were like, so tell me about wild catfish. I'm just like... And at first, I thought I heard them say... So, like, because like verbatim, what they said, like a quote was, "So, like, what's up with wild caught?" And I thought they said,
incredible.
Yeah, and I thought they had said, "What's up with the cod?" Not wild caught. Mm-hmm. So I told them about the cod, which is, I think, is actually wild caught and fresh, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think it's one of the farmed fish, but. Yeah, it was just a weird experience because after I did that, he was like, "Oh, well, it's wild, like, you know." Okay, what about anything else other than that's wild caught? And I was like, this is wild caught. That's like, then I explained what I could see. I really hate when people come up to the case and say, like, what's farmed and what's wild caught? It's like, it's on the fucking tag. Look at it.
People don't want to use their eyeballs.
Oh, 100%. Anytime anybody goes to get mussels or something, it says, please ask for assistance. And they just open the thing up and reach in.
They
it's
just
like,
be grabbing.
And we have to like be like, oh, sorry, we have to get that because there's a tag on there that we write the receiving date on. So that, and then the date we later on after we sell it, we write the date it was sold. So we have a record of shellfish. So if anyone calls and was like, I got sick because of da-da-da, we can see roughly when.
So like, for basic like health code reasons.
Yeah.
You can't have random people just shoving their hands in the seafood.
Oh yeah.
So
especially
that feels
like
easy to understand.
shellfish, which is very easy to spread, and then
Right.
somebody else could get sick.
Right.
From a shellfish.
Well, and
allergy.
also, yeah, like thinking about people just digging their hands in shellfish. If they go then walk around the store and touch shit,
Yep.
somebody with an extreme shellfish allergy
could just
go
into
I
shock.
guess die. I guess
Yeah.
like I
Guess
guess
I'll
I'll
die.
die, and
Yeah.
that's like no, let us do this because then we can take our gloves off and like clean and like
Yep.
no one will die if I touch the things, but people could die if you random human touch the things.
And it says on there, it's got a thing.
People and I'm sure they even read things and then they just go, that's obviously for someone else. And I'm like, I don't understand.
But
to
yeah.
me, this feels related to my conversation about people like learning things but not like not knowing, right? Is like they see things and they're like, oh, if I heard someone else say I'm gonna spend more, I'm gonna take less in, and I'm gonna balance my checkbook, they'd be like, that's not, you can't earn less money, spend more money, and somehow have a balanced checkbook.
Yeah.
You can't do that. But they're like, well, if it's my America, then it doesn't apply. But people read that and they're like, other people can't just stick their hand in there, but I obviously am special.
Yeah.
And can do that.
But no, you can't. You're not
Just
allowed.
in case you're wondering if you're the person, you're not the person.
Yeah. Nobody's the person.
Nobody's the person.
You're not allowed to do it.
I'm not allowed to do it.
Ask
for assistance for a reason. AKA don't touch that shit.
But
You're
yeah,
nasty.
so 10-year-old was like stuff.
So what's up with Wildcott?
Yeah, and
I'm
then
gonna just ask you that.
I told him, and then he's like, okay, and then he walked out.
Fucking weirdo.
I think I saw a cryptid.
Yeah, that kid probably haunts the Whole Foods.
I haven't seen him since.
He's
and
like
I've closed
part
twice.
2 of that dude at Target who started the list.
I
And then
mean,
he walked away.
I've told that story before.
I know. You may remember Target List Man.
List Target Man.
Sounds
Wonder
like he
Woman
makes
hater.
lists of targets. List Target Man.
Number 10. I don't know. Just lists.
That one. Then it just go.
That Target. You know the one. It says that in his book. It's like, no, I don't. This is your experience.
That checks out, yeah.
Yeah. No, and also no other celebrities. Nothing been a thing.
Maybe we got too excited about Ted Danson. Maybe we need to be chill and the universe will provide.
I mean, I don't know if that's the case because so many others were spotted after that. So
that's true. I'm telling y'all, if Brie Larson rolls up to Whole Foods again,
I don't know.
I will leave wherever I am.
I would have risked getting in trouble to be like, can I have like a picture or something? I don't care.
Right.
You kidding me? Also, if Hugh Jackman shows up at any reason, I would be like, look, I can get fired for this. I don't give a damn. Logan makes me cry every time I watch the movie.
Every time.
Every time.
It's so cute.
It's just...
The first time when we saw it in theaters, you cried so much. I was so glad I had those extra napkins. I brought them because I was like, oh, I'm going to cry. And then I wasn't crying, but you were crying.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. And then I gave y'all my napkins. And then was like, Dad said something about crying. Not allowed. I must come and get scritches for comfort.
Nope, she's done. She started to do that thing with her head where she tries to dodge your hand. But yeah, so that was a weird experience. Haven't had many other weird experiences there, honestly.
It seems like people are sort of normal at the Whole Foods.
Sort of. Did I talk about the person who got all the lobster tails and then I did talk about that. Because that was also where I was talking about how they just found a bunch of frozen shrimp in the bathroom. Yeah, so that happened the same night.
That's weird.
Yeah, so,
So people are still weird.
Oh,
They're still working with the public.
Yeah.
But for Pittsburgh, I'll say, this is a relatively low percentage of weird.
Sure. I don't know. I worked at Target for 2 years and didn't see that much weird.
I mean, there was Wonder Woman list dude.
That's one.
There was the light bulbs guy.
That's just rude. That's not weird.
I mean, but it is weird too. Like people don't act that way.
I mean,
light bulbs. Fuck you.
I don't know.
I would have turned around and been like, asshole.
No, you wouldn't have.
No, I'm very nice.
Especially when you have to have a job to pay bills.
Right. I will take a lot of bullshit so that I can pay my bills.
Same.
I've been a public school teacher. Do you know how much bullshit I took?
Yeah, a lot.
Kids broke windows in my classroom.
That's ridiculous.
It was absurd. I'm going to be honest with you. One kid had to pick up another kid and place him. He just went, whoop, and then he placed him over on the other side. It was like, stop. And I was like, first of all, that's terrifying. That 14-year-old just lifted that other 14-year-old and just placed him like a gentle giant.
14-year-olds. How much do they weigh?
I mean,
70 pounds?
They were not small. They were 14-year-old boys. I mean, the one that lifted the other kid was huge, but he was on the football and basketball team, so that checks out.
Well, one of those things checks out. Basketball team, you don't want to be big, like big.
He was tall, too.
Well, yeah.
He was tall, and he was big. He was just strong, I guess. I don't know. He just lifted up his cousin, actually. It was his cousin. He just went, boop, and then he just plopped him down on the other side, and I was like, well, I guess that ends the fight, though. I guess I don't have to get the algebra teacher to step in anymore, because I wasn't stepping in.
Well,
One kid tried to step in to, like, tell his friend to chill out, and he got punched in the jaw. And he was like, but, boy, I'm just trying to keep you from getting suspended.
It's too bad when that happens.
He punched me in the jaw, and then he was mad, and I was like, please don't add to it.
Public school.
Public school. I love public schools. It'd be great if there were less fighting, but
I mean, yeah.
And it wasn't great. It's not like there were fights all the time. There were only a few.
Yeah.
Every public school teacher has at least one fight happen in their classroom, but mine broke windows. Kid jumped over my desk. It was a lot. I also had a lot of windows. So the setup was not actually very conducive to good teaching. There was what separated me from the teacher next to me was a bunch of windows, which means that we could hear everything that happened in that classroom and vice versa.
Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't seem like a good setup.
It's a good thing he never taught anything. So
sucks for that class. Are we going to learn? No.
He'd be like, fuck, I don't know. Read something.
They all just go Oh, fuck, man.
Be like, please don't fucking bother me. But the printer was in his room. I was always very upset about that. I was like, why do I have to leave my classroom? He's not printing anything. He's not doing anything.
I don't know.
Should be in my room. But it wasn't in his room. I was very upset about that. I want that noted. That was a grievance.
Yeah.
Public school teaching is wild.
I bet. Because, children are unruly and don't want to be there.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was more that they didn't want to be there. Like, because the didn't want to be there feeds into the misbehavior.
Well, yeah.
So I tried to just be chill so that they would want to be there and then they misbehave less, which generally works. But sometimes, a fight breaks out in the first 5 minutes of class. That's not really me. That came from wherever the fuck they came from, and then they just rolled up and decided whatever bad attitude was happening before is now in my space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a problem outside of the classroom beforehand.
Yep. Yeah. So, some things were out of my control. Some things I could have just been better at my job. That would have been nice if I were just better at my job. If anyone taught me how to do my job before I did it, that would have been cool.
You were first year teaching or whatever.
Yeah. First year teaching is hilarious because you think the whole time that there's like some things that you know. Mm-hmm. And the truth is you know nothing.
Yeah. I mean, that's most things when you first start, though.
Yeah, it's just especially that, teaching you of young lives affected by your inability to do anything. Most people's first jobs, it's like if they suck, their boss yells at them, or they just have to learn how to use Excel properly, like they said they did on their resume. With me, I was like, oh, this 14-year-old could be forever traumatized because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. In fact, all 20 of these 14-year-olds could be traumatized because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
So, as someone with anxiety, it was hard.
Makes sense.
I would have been anxious in a great situation.
Yeah.
It was not great.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun, though. There were some days we had a lot of fun.
That's good.
But,
Look what you did. You made me sleepy, too.
It's not my fault.
No, it is.
Why is it my fault? See, no, I'm gonna yawn.
Yeah, but you started.
I didn't start it.
Yeah, you were like, I'm tired.
Don't blame me. I didn't do it.
20 minutes ago, you were like, what time is it? 8:30? What the fuck?
I know. I'm so sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Where does that one from?
It's another Vine. Oh, that's the one where the people are basically making out in that Panera. And they're like, what the fuck? Is this allowed? What the fuck? And the girl's like, stop. It's like, you need to stop before I just pour a pitcher of cold water over your head, you nasty.
Or
teenagers be doing that shit.
Or a bread bowl of mac and cheese.
It's like, first of all, what is sexy about a Panera for you? What's really doing it about all this beige in your general area?
The mac and cheese. I said it already.
That mac and cheese is delicious.
It's too much like soup. It's too soupy for me.
It's just cheesy.
It's just, I don't know what to tell you. But no, the thing is, I don't like mac and cheese to be that, it literally is like macaroni and cheese soup. Mm-hmm. But I don't prefer my mac and cheese like that.
Well, everyone's entitled to be incorrect. Everyone has flaws.
Yeah.
You just have to accept that about you.
I have a lot of flaws.
You do?
Yeah.
Would you like to tell me them? Because I'm pretty sure the mac and cheese soup thing is perhaps the first real flaw that I've heard from you in our marriage.
I can't really see too well. These glasses.
But you're wearing glasses. So
well, yeah,
that fixes the flaw. And you look good in glasses, so it works out.
Yeah, but without them, I'm fucked.
I mean, same.
Still, it's a flaw.
Does it cancel
Flat
each
feet,
other out?
Bad nose. Can't breathe through but one nostril.
That is a flaw. Mostly because
eczema.
I worry a lot about your ability to breathe at night. You get very snuggly and often press your face into my body. And I'm like, he's only got one nostril so he can breathe out. Is he going to suffocate to death trying to snuggle me?
No, because at some point my body will go, and I'll wake up when that happens.
Sometimes when you grumble in your sleep, I worry that you're trying to breathe. These are things that I worry about.
Well, I mean, I can't.
So the nose thing, I will say, is a flaw. The others I refuse to accept.
Well, I'm just letting you know that my body won't let me suffocate.
That's good. That's good to know.
That's how you drown. Is because your body won't let you suffocate, so you just breathe in water and then you drown. Oh. Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah. Because your body goes, well, we have to breathe, and you go, I can't, and your body goes, figure it out, and then you die because you get lungs full of water.
All right.
Yeah.
Now we learned something today, kiddos.
Yeah. It's true.
You
True
look so
story.
proud of yourself right now.
Nah, I don't know.
So now you have 2 flaws.
What's that? Wait, what? I'm confusion.
The mac and cheese.
Uh-huh.
Not liking the mac and cheese at Panera is a flaw.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one already.
You forgot about it? God, we need to go the fuck to bed.
No, it's not that. I just don't care about that mac and cheese.
You're just so incorrect. Okay, so that's your first flaw. And your second one is that you can only breathe through one side of your nose at a time. Horrifying.
It's my right nostril, if you were wondering which
Yeah.
one that was.
That's terrifying and horrifying, and I hate it.
That's what it sounds like if I try to breathe through my left. It's not a lot.
It's not good.
There's
not good, y'all.
significant less amount of air.
He's got one good nostril.
And that's not because I'm sick. That's just how that works.
That's just like all the time. So, when do we make out? I got to be real strategic because I worry that you're going to suffocate.
There was times where you didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd have to pull away and be...
Yep. Which is not sexy.
What?
When someone leans away from you and goes, while you're making out.
I didn't never do it that exaggeratedly.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Why are you so confident in that? Don't be so confident. I'm trying to rattle you. See, this is when.
Because I remember really dumb shit like that. But I can't remember certain birth dates.
Like, Mom.
That's not true. I do know your birthday.
Well, I'm not going to ask you because then it'll be on the podcast.
Was that? Well, I mean, I guess it could be used to find some information about you.
Yeah. I want to be a mystery. But this is when you're like, when I know that you're a Leo, is when you get like really confident all of a sudden about really random shit. And you're very calm about it, but you're like, but this is the truth.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who the fuck are you? You're normally like a little nerd I could just push around all the time. But then every once in a while I come up against a wall and I'm like, oh, there's the Leo. Okay, I'll back off. And it's always like inconsequential shit. So I'm like, it's fine. Have that. That's a victory you can have. Like, I'm weird, but I'm not going to die on that hill. So,
I mean, I'm not going to die on the hill either. I just know.
Nico is a Leo, by the way.
Yeah.
An atypical Leo. It's because you have a Scorpio moon. That's why you're so introverted and secretive.
Okay. I mean, I'll take your word for it. I don't know much about this astrological stuff. Excuse me.
I mean, it's mostly just like a lens to interpret behavior.
Well, yeah. But I'm just saying I didn't know there was moons. I thought you were just one sign and that's it.
No, that's like the what people say like their sign is. That's your sun sign.
Yeah, but
so that's like how people kind of see you and react to you.
Excuse me.
Like
it's getting crazy in here.
Yeah, well, Tiffany is giving me advice on how to dress for LA.
Oh, okay.
I told her to come over and choose all my outfits. And she was like, well, send me inspo. She was like, oh, are you going to go shopping? Send me links. And I'm like, I'm not going to go shopping. I don't know. I bought some new purses. That's all I got. Because an influencer on Instagram made me do it. She didn't make me do it. They just looked really cute, so I bought them.
No, but she succeeded in her goal.
She did. But the purses are really cute.
I didn't say anything bad about the purses.
You sounded just a moat judgmental.
I bought a backpack, like whatever.
But you like actually need the backpack. I don't actually need a new purse, but did I buy 3 of them? Yes.
I didn't need to buy the fans. Like I did.
True. That's true.
I could have made by with the fans I had. I mean, they were more than 5 years old at this point, but still.
Yeah.
Which is actually kind of surprising that I only had to throw away one in that whole time I had them.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I sent her. I was like going through Instagram before we started recording, and I was like looking for like fashion inspo to send her to be like this, because she was like, "What's the vibe?" I was like, "That I'm almost 30 and I'm going to Los Angeles. Like that's all I have.
Beach."
I'm like, I don't know, wine. That's the vibe. How do you dress to drink wine? However you want to, because it's wine.
Well, yeah.
But so I was going through Instagram to send her stuff, and I sent her stuff. So now she's like replying to it and saying my thoughts. That's why my phone is blowing up.
Yeah.
It's just Tiffany giving me fashion advice because she's young and hip.
Oop.
We like went to a place. Her butthole is
sure.
just out, girl.
It might not be, but who knows?
Hi. She's so cute.
Give me the tongue. She doesn't like it. She's gonna run away. So I'm gonna stop. You just hit the microphone with your tail.
So hard too.
Well, there's some. No,
It didn't have to be like that, man.
She turned my microphone. What? Oh, like she got her tail around it somehow.
He's so cute.
Nem's putting herself into the podcast. Oh, there, you're losing. There you go. She was slipping, and her claws started to come out.
Cats put themselves in precarious situations, and then you have to pay for it.
Yeah. Sometimes with your flesh.
Mm-hmm. Often with your flesh, actually. Yeah. Most often with flesh.
And I'm not a happy dad when that happens.
No, you are not. You get very angry.
Yeah, because I've been known to pick up a cat and toss it if it starts to claw my leg.
Have you really?
I mean, Nem gripped into me, and I went, ugh.
I mean, it's a good thing they land on their feet or whatever.
I mean, I didn't throw her this high. This is too high. I went, and she was just like.
So it was more of a gentle shove than
anything. Yeah, a toss.
You didn't like body slam her onto the ground.
No, that's not a toss.
Right.
Well, it's in my head, a toss is like underhand. Like you would call it underhand toss. Yeah. I just went, because I was like, and then just insta remove from leg. She likes to sit in my lap, and then when she starts to slip, she just. Mm-hmm. So, my first reaction is to go and like just scream, and then pick her up and toss her aside.
She's hilarious.
I mean,
she's also like she doesn't have great balance.
Nope, she's a lot like me in that respect.
She is your child, deeply.
I have flat feet, so sometimes I just kind of go, whoa.
Yeah. Sometimes he'll be standing perfectly still, and then he'll just be like, and he'll catch himself. He doesn't usually fall.
Yeah.
But the balance is an issue.
Yeah, it's not great.
And you do like to stand and pace and sway a little, which only increases the danger.
Well, yeah, I don't like to stand still. I like to shift my weight from foot to foot and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it's weird to just stand. You look like a weirdo. But if you're like at least moving, kind of, as long as you're not just like slowly rocking back and forth.
I'm gonna be honest. It looks weirder that you sway when you stand. Some people are just still. I know that's hard for us as very anxious people, but people just are still sometimes.
Trying to stay as still as possible.
Their movements are so slow. They are imperceptible.
Do you know he hates that?
What?
Like Batista, he hates when people like repeat back to him because he didn't think the joke was that funny either.
Really?
Yeah.
But it is funny.
Yeah, but
I mean, it is a joke at Drax's expense. Maybe he just cares about Drax and doesn't want people to make fun of him. But Drax is not smart.
No, but you can tell the difference between like the jokes in Infinity War and the jokes in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, they're not quite as smart, but
it was like him. Well, I mean, in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, he's like, it chafes my nipples. Like, that's not smart.
But it is a little smarter than that.
Is it?
Him slowly eating a chip.
Yeah, but that's literally, it's just, I mean, it's juvenile at the very least. Like, that's why I don't think it's smarter. It's just him being like, I have sensitive nipples. But, well,
this is why we should have seen Birds of Prey today so we could talk about being juvenile and smart, because Birds of Prey is deeply juvenile in a lot of ways, but it is also very smart.
Okay. I mean, that would have, I don't know. I just didn't want to go see it today.
Yeah, that's fair. But we definitely should. You should go see it. Right now, stop whatever you're doing and go see Birds of Prey. If you've already seen it, drop whatever you're doing and go see it again because it was good. Right? Yes, I thought so. The end.
This has been Allie's recommendation.
Oh, okay. Can I do that? Can I have a segment on the show where I give recommendations?
It's too late.
But can they be like, they're not always like book or movie or anything recommendations?
What else would it be?
My recommendation for the day is to shut the fuck up.
just like, I guess.
My recommendation for the day is to drink some water, you asshole. Drink water. Recommendation. I'll sing it.
Oh, okay.
I can sing opera.
That's true. She can. She was trained.
I trained. I did it.
She did the vocal trainings. She did the exercises.
I'm not good anymore because I haven't like done that. But
what? You don't sing opera around the house?
I mean, you don't know what happens when you're not home.
I guess it's fair.
I do more singing when you are not home because I know that it bothers you.
What? Your singing doesn't bother me.
You'd never say it, but you don't love musicals the way I do.
That's fine.
So you would never appreciate it.
What?
It would bother you.
No. That's not how that works. I just don't want to watch a musical. That's it.
I don't understand. Watching musicals is way more fun than just hearing me like wail shrilly while I wash dishes.
I don't know. To me, doesn't bother me if you sing while you do the dishes. I don't know.
Well, now I'm going to be doing a lot more singing while I wash the dishes.
You're going to have to get to them before me. Moderately quickly.
I'm definitely not going to fight you to wash the dishes.
Well, I'm just saying.
I'm not going to race you to do very much, but certainly not
That
to
was
wash
the whole
dishes.
moderately quickly thing. I get to them before you do. That's it.
Totally, that's fine.
Apparently that movie is fine or funny or fun. I don't know which one, but it's
maybe
not
it's
terrible.
all of those. Maybe it's fine, funny and fun.
Yeah. I've heard it's not terrible.
And in some ways, right, that's all I'm really looking for out of a film these days. Because so many films...
Well, I mean...
So many films are so bad.
Well, yeah, and especially video game movies have a very, very hot streak of being hot trash garbage.
Just steaming garbage.
And it also doesn't make sense because most of the stories lead themselves to being retold without the gameplay elements. You can just do the narrative. But for whatever reason, a lot of video game movies don't. Like, even telling the story again through a different medium lends itself to being... what is the word I'm looking for? Not reviewed, like taken in. What's the word for that?
Experience.
Yeah, experienced differently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, fucking, I don't know. Like God of War, the PlayStation 4 one, has a really strong narrative and has to do with, Kratos and his son and their journey. But, excuse me, if you take out all of the gameplay sections, but still put them in moments of peril, because that has to exist within a hero's journey style narrative, because without struggle, then what is their goal? Like, it lessens the time, but you can keep all the same story beats and still have conflict and stuff. I just don't understand why so many people seem to have issue with making video game movies. Like,
it shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, like Super Mario. That made why?
Right.
What?
There's no story.
Especially when that movie came out, there was Mario games didn't have a story. It's just Princess Peach was captured. You gotta go get Bowser and get her back, and that's it. So it's like, yeah, of course they had.
And even that could have been a great movie.
Yeah, they could have been better than whatever the fuck happened to that movie. And there's a lot of drama behind it. Apparently, John Leguizamo and Bob Hoskins got drunk all the time. And just acted drunk.
If we're gonna be honest, would any of us do anything different in their shoes?
I mean,
I don't think so.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to say. Yeah, I totally would. When what happened with that movie. Yeah. But like that movie's hot garbage. The Resident Evil movies barely have anything to do with the actual game story whatsoever, and those came out at a time where, like, Resident Evil 1 story is not super complex, but it's not that hard to translate a zombie movie into what it was without. And then, like, of course, there's Mila Jovovich's character doesn't exist in the games. It's a creation for the movies, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but her character doesn't serve any purpose other than to be the protagonist when protagonists already existed.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah, it doesn't. The only reason she's in that movie is because her husband is the director, and he puts her in all of his movies, but he could have just cast her as one of... He didn't have to create a character to do that.
She could have been an existing character.
Yeah, Jill Valentine is one of the two main characters you can play as in Resident Evil 1, and she's a white girl.
Right. So.
She could have just been Jill. It doesn't make any sense that she's some weird...
other random...
just a made-up person. Like, it doesn't...
Very strange.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. It's like, people could be like, oh, she doesn't look like Jill, but Jill was like triangles.
Right.
Like, it's PlayStation 1 graphics.
Right.
It doesn't...
Jill barely even looks like a person. Like,
yeah, she kind of looked like a bunch of triangles held together in the shape of a person's body. That's not... Like,
it's not that deep.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah. And then, like, apparently the Hitman... There were two different Hitman movies.
Yes, there were.
One of them had Timothy Olyphant in it. And he's great.
He's great.
In both comedic and serious roles that I've seen him in.
If you haven't seen Santa Clarita Diet...
Well, we only know that first season's good. I don't know about the rest.
Oh, yeah. But the first season's excellent.
Yeah.
Like
I've heard Justified is amazing.
Oh, yeah. We should watch Justified. That should be like a couple thing we do.
Okay. Because
I can only do like Western-y type things for so long.
Well, yeah, but it's modern day.
Right. I don't know. We should watch it, though.
Yeah. I mean, he's a sheriff as a small fan.
Yeah. We both
Small
like
town. What did I say? Small town? What the fuck?
But we both like Timothy Olyphant because he is objectively great.
Yeah. So he was Agent 47. To be fair, though, the story of those, I don't remember the story of those games other than Hitman kills people because that's what they do. And he's a clone, so there's that too.
Neat.
So, like, but they keep taking, like, it's either they take games with no narrative and try to make one, or they
take an existing narrative and they
change it.
Stupid shit with it.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any... Like, Resident Evil is all about an evil pharmaceutical corporation that's like, oh, but what if we can make more money by making bioweapons and using stuff to turn people into horrible monsters that we could sell for war profits? And then it goes wrong, and an entire city has to get nuked for it because...
So it's a documentary.
Well, we don't know yet that there are zombies in some kind of underground lab somewhere. I said yet.
Okay, all right. I'll take that concession.
Yeah. But like that, what it didn't like. It had its like a setup, and then it did other things, introduced characters that didn't exist. Then it introduced like in different movies characters from the other games, but then I don't know if they die or what. And it's just like, what is the point of making a video game movie where you take all the titular characters and then just either kill them off or don't utilize them as your main characters anyway?
And then you make a movie that's just not that good.
Yeah.
It's like the thing, because like if you do these big creative things with it and it turns like it comes together and it's cohesive and it feels additive as opposed to like a takeover of the narrative.
Yeah.
For fans, then that's
like adding stuff to something isn't terrible.
That's awesome. Like
it was like, oh, I didn't,
as long as it feels cohesive with like whatever pre-existing
like,
narrative.
Also, like
existed.
you don't have to have like a Resident Evil movie doesn't have to be from the lens of like the team in the first game called Stars. It doesn't have to be from their point of view because like, well, we played the game. We know that. Right. If you want to make up a character and be like, what were they doing when the zombie outbreak happened and how did they survive and stuff? That's fine.
That's cool.
But also don't be like, also, here's my OC. I'm going to insert them into the main story. And now they're like the
fan fiction instead of an adaptation.
Yeah.
And I mean, in some ways it's not an exact science, right? But it's like,
but like you
I
can
would say whatever the opposite of what the Game of Thrones writers did is probably the right thing to do.
Or the opposite of what the Hobbit movies did.
Yep.
So
they were like, what if we just took every single sentence that Tolkien ever wrote and we took it seriously and decided to try to render it all perfectly on film. And we had we made no editorial decisions whatsoever.
And then we get Peter Jackson after the original director drops out and Peter Jackson's like, oh fuck, now I gotta make 3 movies for no reason when this should maybe be 2 max. And they went,
shouldn't even have been 1. The animated one from when we were kids was enough Hobbit.
And then the producers went, yeah, you got to figure this out.
They should have just remastered the animated one from when we were kids and just re-released it.
Yeah, but the Battle of the 5 you got to have a big battle.
The Battle of the 5 Armies is boring.
You got to have a big battle.
Tolkien is such a bad writer that he makes something called the Battle of the 5 Armies boring.
Yeah, well, there go the other patrons.
Yep, they're all done. Good.
What? I don't know. What would you say?
I'm here to support your dream, but I won't compromise. Tolkien fans are not allowed on the dream.
Well, fuck, I guess.
No, you're allowed. You're wrong, but you're allowed to like Tolkien. No,
I'm just going to cut out the part where you just scorned all these people.
Really?
Probably. Are you kidding?
I don't know. I don't know why they're here.
Because Trent... his only claim to fame is Third Age Total War, and he hates the fact that that's true. He actively wishes that wasn't the case.
But yeah. No, I mean, and the Hobbit films were just so bad because you could tell nobody wanted to do them.
Well,
People are like participating because they're contractually obligated to.
Yeah,
that's not a good reason to make a movie.
Yeah. I mean,
the studio said, we want money and we want it right now.
And then Peter Jackson and everyone went, fuck, man, why?
Yeah. And that's I mean, I think that's what's really hard about the studio system of making films is that, like, when you have to make films for a profit and you demand ever increasing amounts of profit, then you end up with movies that nobody wants to make and nobody wants to see and nobody enjoyed having to witness.
Welcome back to the Capitalism Criticism Podcast.
I mean, I literally have a meme on my phone. It's in Spanish. But that in some ways only makes it more accurate. And it's like, It's like a bunch of people playing cards, and it's just like a casual conversation, and then it's a guy standing up and he's clearly about to throw it down, and it's like me, and it's like capitalism is the problem.
Yeah. It's just like have you seen the Draw 25 meme? Mm-hmm. It's that. It's like, don't talk about capitalism or draw 25. You draw 25
I draw
every
25
time.
Every motherfucking time.
Yep.
Every time. But that's part of the problem, though, is like when people take something artistic and then have to create it for a profit, the artistic things that happen, like a real connection between creators and audiences, between creators and performers and audiences, like those connections get lost. And so then you can be a really huge fan of something and its heart and soul can get totally obscured amongst like number crunching and focus groups. And
Hunger Games.
Right. Hunger Games literally became the thing that the whole story was supposed to critique. Like, it's a critique of capitalism. That's all it is. That's all the Hunger Games is. It's like capitalism makes poor people kill each other for amusement of rich people.
Yep.
Which is not even a weird metaphor. That's just a fact. That's like what pro athletes do all the time. Like, that's just like what it is. And so people just, I don't know, by the end of that whole movie cycle, they were like selling Hunger Games things that were like, here's a makeup set, like you were from the Capitol. And it's like, that's the whole point, is that the Capitol was exploitative and that it was weird that they were covered in makeup and like fancy things, and then other people were starving.
And then that other Hemsworth was just like, I don't know. When I asked about, it was like, why did you kill those people? I don't know. Or what was that line?
It was
like,
wild.
Because he says like something along those lines, or like, what was the question? Was like, did they attack first, or something like that? And he's just like ambivalent toward it. He's just like, I don't know, I don't care. Mm-hmm. He's just like, he just wants revenge, basically. And like, it's like, okay, I can understand your standpoint, but also being violent towards random people and just gunning them down doesn't really help the situation that you're in.
That doesn't really at all measurably improve your life.
Yeah.
In any way. It doesn't change the system you're a part of.
I just can't remember what the exact line is.
Yeah, but it's like really wild. And so a lot of things.
And Katniss is just like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. A lot of things just become I don't know. It's really sad. Yeah. It's hard. Like, it's hard to love Marvel movies as much as I do, knowing that they're just propaganda for the American military machine.
Well, I mean, Captain Marvel specifically starts with a big like Air Force thing. That movie is
just a big Air Force dick just in our faces.
Well, without their backing, they wouldn't have been able to shoot as many sequences with jets and stuff as they did.
I mean, she's literally flying through space. They can make up a jet. It doesn't have to be a real jet.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be, but it costs way less.
You're a jet all the way from your first cigarette to your last night and day.
What?
That's from West Side Story.
Oh, okay.
The Jets and the Sharks.
Oh, okay.
Watch musicals, okay?
Nope.
So that you understand my references.
But yeah,
you just said Jet, and I immediately started singing the Jets song. I don't know. I don't know.
That's fair. But I mean, it's significantly cheaper if the Air Force just goes, "Oh yeah, you can use our planes, whatever."
In fact, we're gonna pay you for the pleasure. Don't make us seem like the imperialist murderers we are. Mm-hmm. Hey, but it's hard then, right? Because in any conceivable world, I feel like we talked about this, right? Like Captain America and Captain Marvel would be critiques of that system, and instead they're used as propaganda because they literally are, because they're paid artistic representations that are supposed to make the Department of Defense look good.
Yeah.
And make people sign up to be in the army. Like, that's their purpose. So, at least from the DoD's perspective. So, and that's hard. It compromises the story. It compromises the artistic vision, I think.
Yeah, because that's what I saw a thing on like r/movies that was talking about how there are barely any American-made movies that actually critique American military and militarism because they don't get any funding. Because how are they going to get funded? Especially if it's an action movie and of any kind. There's no way.
Huge source of money is the DoD.
Yeah, I wonder how much money Jarhead didn't get.
Yeah, I wonder about that.
Because that's a huge critique on how we kind of just went to the Middle East and a bunch of soldiers did fuck all nothing.
Yeah.
And just kind of had their lives ruined even though they didn't do anything really.
Yep.
Like, what's his name? Oh my God.
Jake Gyllenhaal?
Yeah, Jake Gyllenhaal's character's marriage just falls apart.
Yep.
And It's just,
and that's like it's a real rendering of like how people experienced that as soldiers and also as people at home. And so it's kind of sad, and I mean, I think we get worse stories because of it. Like, I genuinely think that there are stories that don't.
there's a Jarhead too.
I did not know that.
It's because you know how Rambo was a critique on.
Oh no! Don't.
Yep. Jarhead 2 is not the same kind of movie.
But Jake Gyllenhaal's not in it, right?
Oh fuck no! Are you kidding me?
I fuck with Jake Gyllenhaal.
It's not. It was a direct to DVD movie. It wasn't even. Yeah, it wasn't. It didn't go to theaters.
Wow.
I think there are multiple Jarhead movies that have nothing to do with that first movie anymore. Just like the second Rambo doesn't make any kind of sense when in conjunction.
The first Rambo is an incredible film.
Yeah.
It's a very good movie. And Jarhead was great. It was almost like hard. I mean, it was difficult to watch because it was such a good rendering of such a very difficult thing.
Yeah.
I have such a vivid memory of that scene where he like dances around with the Santa hat on his dick. I don't know why that stuck out to me out of that whole film, but
I do.
Well, Jake Gyllenhaal's fine as hell.
Not according to who was it? Shit, who was it? Remember, she was like, "It's just so unfortunate that he's ugly." Fuck. Was that no? I can't remember who said it.
I don't know.
I don't remember off the top of my head.
I'm sorry.
But no, my thing that sticks out in my head is him just having to clean out the porta potties.
Yep.
And how just awful that was.
Disgusting shit.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, literal disgusting shit. Yeah, and so it's like, you know, those movies very rarely get made, and if they do, I mean...
Well, they used to get made. They don't get made at all anymore.
Right. Well, because the DoD wasn't doing that for a while. That's a fairly recent thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, some companies and some filmmakers have more integrity than others. Disney has none.
Well, yeah, they're Disney.
So they're like, oh, you'll give us money so that we cannot critique a thing we weren't even going to critique anyway because we have no integrity or interest in critiquing anything. We just want to make money. Perfect. Cut that check. And, you know, and let us borrow that jet. That's what they do. And
I wonder if not Captain America. That's not how this works. Falcon and Winter Soldier is going to say anything, though, because if you see that little snippet, apparently the character that looks like Captain America is called, I don't even remember his name. It's not the Patriot because that was from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but it's something along those lines. Like, even though Cap gives Falcon his shield, technically Falcon's still fugitive at large. So, and it's like, well, people like Captain America, even if he's not around. So it would make sense for the U.S. government to be like, no, we have a Captain America. You don't have to worry about that not being a thing, even though it's not Falcon.
Right.
So I wonder if they're going to get into that, especially if it has any, like, it probably won't get this deep because of, you know, it being Disney, but it does seem like on Disney Plus they're taking more risks because it's like, oh, people already paid the money. Yeah. We're just making the thing now. Because like WandaVision looks fucking weird.
It looks wild. I'm excited.
Yeah. She had like 7 different costumes in the like 3-second thing that we saw. And one of them is her classic costume. It just doesn't show as much cleavage.
Yeah. Which makes a lot more sense. I don't know why her titties, I mean,
because
she's beautiful, but I don't know why her titties were out and they were like fighting robots and shit. I'm like, put your titties away. Because
men drew it.
You right.
And people were like, oh, fuck, man, titties are great. Which I'm not wrong. Like,
I mean, titties are great. They're objectively correct, but also...
It doesn't make sense to fight in that.
There's other ways to be hot. You can be hot, and your titties don't have to be out all the time. And I say this as someone with a lot of titty. My titties are pretty much constantly out. Yeah. And there's a lot of other ways to be hot.
Yeah.
And also it's impractical. If your titty flies out in battle...
I mean, we saw that it might in Deadpool. It might stop somebody from fighting you for a second.
Only if they're fucking Colossus. Which...
I'm sorry.
You can't even say like, bitch, your titties out. Like
he's too kind.
And that's what I'm saying. How often are you fighting someone who also cares whether they see your titty or not?
Although he got to see Gina Carano's titty, and I'm sad that it wasn't me.
She's hot.
Yeah, and she can kick everyone's ass. She's an actual UFC fighter.
I know. I want her to kick my ass. I want her and Mary Elizabeth Winstead to murder me together. Yeah, together.
Together. Okay.
Put that on the bucket list. I want them to murder me together. That's how I want to go out. If the world is ending, that's what I want. If I got into like Make-A-Wish, I want them to end my life.
I don't think you can get into Make-A-Wish. You're not a child.
I'm short. I can make a wish.
Oh my god. But like the thing that I don't know, that the thing I'm hoping for from Falcon and Winter Soldier is that it delves into the fact that like the government's trying to make this not puppet, but what is the it's like a face. The Queen is that in the UK.
Like a figurehead?
Yeah, a figurehead for what Captain America is, and like race has to do with that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if they're gonna get that
I would
into
hope
it
so.
about it,
I
just
would hope
because.
So. That would be interesting to see them work out.
Yeah.
I hope they handle it well. If they do.
Yeah, same.
That would be interesting.
Yeah,
because
that's the thing.
Because people were shocked, even though the current Captain America in the comics is black, right?
Falcon was Captain America, but I don't know if he still is. I think Steve Rogers is back.
Oh, okay, but he was for a while, long enough that like it's part of the canon.
Oh
of
wait,
Marvel
no,
comics.
I remember now. And when Civil War II was happening, Falcon as Captain America and Steve were on separate sides of the second Civil War. But I've heard Civil War II isn't great.
Okay.
Just in general, which is too bad, but. But I don't know if they're both still there. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they are because like.
But that would be an interesting opportunity to like delve into why the U.S. might not accept Falcon as Captain America.
Yeah, especially if he's still at large, because like you would think, oh, you know, sorry, bub.
It's okay.
Do you need more water?
I just want to go.
Okay.
Whenever.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make this point. You did a lot of talking.
I did. This is what you asked for when you brought me on to do this thing.
But
you're gonna have to give me some direction if you want me to not talk, because I'm just gonna talk. You gave me a microphone and a camera.
Let's do the Austin Powers zip it.
Oh, if you ever did that.
Well, yeah, obviously you'd be allowed to do that if I did that. I just imagine you're gonna say you're gonna hit me.
Yeah, smack the shit out of you. And I'm not a physically violent person. I think I wouldn't even be able to stop. Like my palm itches right now just because you joked about it.
That's
and
ridiculous.
I'm not a violent person.
That's ridiculous, and you need to stop.
I don't hit people. I've never been in a fight in my life.
It's ridiculous. I don't know what's happening.
There,
but,
got it out of my system. Just patted you lightly.
That makes sense.
It probably wouldn't hurt, but I would still hit you.
Just scratch me. You got long nails at this point.
I don't actually want to hurt you.
Well, if
don't tell me to injure you, weirdo.
You said you wanted to hurt me.
Well, yeah, but no.
Okay.
You
anyway,
don't understand how any of this works.
I don't ever remember what I was gonna say. I just hope that the show actually tries to do like the shows try to do more than the movies do, because they don't need to worry about people going to the theater. They already have people who are subscribed to the show, like the Disney Plus thing.
Yeah.
So, and they have said they're gonna try to do riskier things, but I mean, who knows what that means yet?
Who knows what that means?
But yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Let's do the thing and get out of here.
It's been nice chatting with you all.
They can't respond.
I want them to, though.
I'd be scared if they did.
Why?
Because what?
Maybe they've got really good thoughts.
We are here by ourselves. I'd be scared if
Hear
we
a voice
heard
from the other room that's like, well, I really think
multiple voices all at once. I'd be scared.
I'm not so much a Bernie fan as like that would be incredibly horrifying and hilarious.
Yeah, there you go. What do you? Oh, okay. That's your ear. I thought she was sniffing my foot. But yeah, this is the part of the podcast where it's the end, and we thank the patrons because you guys are awesome, and you are keeping this podcast not free, but they are making it so I don't have to pay out of pocket.
To do it.
Yeah. So I want to say a quick shout out to all of our $5 tier patrons: Achilles, Patrick, Cert, and Quinn. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You guys are all awesome. Or I'll just say guys. I don't know. That's not gender neutral, but I mean it.
You all.
Yeah, y'all are awesome. I don't know why I defaulted. Well, I'm a guy. I assigned the gender of myself to other things.
And a lot of people say you guys in a gender neutral way, but y'all is already there, and it's
yeah,
totally
it's
gender neutral for everyone always. So
yeah, But y'all are great. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. And anybody who just listens, even after all of the transitions and Allie coming on as a host and everything, I appreciate y'all as well. Yeah, that's going to be the podcast for today. A little weird, as always. Never 100%. What's the word I'm looking for? Oh, jeez. I don't remember what I was going to say. You never know what you're going to get with this. And I like it that way.
Because it play it fast and loose, you know?
Just like the women I am attracted to.
That's, I guess, true. It's true, but you shouldn't say it like that.
It's too late. It's
so
on
you're
record.
saying you like sluts.
Yes.
It's true. You like sluts.
It's true.
Woman's out there having her own sexuality, living her dream. Nico's like, she's real cute. Owning her sexuality and doing whatever the fuck she wants.
I like her.
Like her.
Yep.
It's cute. It's easy to get along with him.
Yeah.
Because the people that I like, he also likes.
Yeah.
That way.
Bam. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Nico are powerful on the things that you care about.
I'm Allie Macchia on Twitter and Bite. I should post more on Bite.
I mean, we got cats. They do stuff.
Honestly.
Yeah.
I just need to be funny in 6 seconds. Because if I can get the cat content and also the witty content.
She's definitely tearing up the
content. Yeah, she definitely is. I'm going to have to go fight me. Speaking of cats, I'm going to go kill a cat and I'll be right back. I'm not going to kill her. I'm just going to terrify her. Okay.
Yeah. But, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you appreciate it. And, no, is it Cali?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was Alaska.
No, it's Cali.
No.
She looks guilty, too. Yeah, dumbass.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good day. Where's the fucking thing?